It is time for another Zerg macro game. Today I am playing as Zerg vs Terran at the same time as I'm also giving commentary to it. So that does mean that it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to try my very best to make a lot of Zerg stuff. I'm going to play extremely defensive in this game, and this I would say would be my totally standard 100% straight up strategy. Now I have already made a video explaining the exact strategy that I am currently playing, and I'm going to try my very best to execute it. If you are, however, interested in that video, I'll leave it down below the like button in the description of this one, because I gotta be very careful about what I'm gonna be doing. So basically we're gonna be focusing on an army based around Mutalisks, Zerglings, and Banelings, and I feel like that is probably one of the strongest styles you can play with Zerg right now. It is a little more difficult than the Roach Ravager based style, but I feel like the skill ceiling of it is really high. I've been focusing on improving with it for quite a little while right now, and I'm nowhere near as perfect as it could be. So you know what? Gonna make one more drone, and we're gonna go ahead and grab that gas geyser, and next up I'm gonna be creating the spawning pool as well. Now the one thing to keep in mind is that it all comes down to drone timings. If you manage to get a lot of workers, you will be able to overrun your Terran opponent, but if you, for any particular reason, are not creating the economy that you need, you can't really win in a later stage of the game. It's very scary because at some point, once those mules start landing the board, and once the Terran gets that third base up and all that, and you don't quite have the economy yet to match them, you can't really keep up with their macro. So it's really important that in particular you play the first 8 or so minutes of the game near perfectly. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. Gonna focus really heavily here on spending my resources and keeping up with the Terran's macro, and hopefully eventually overrun him. Now obviously I do need to do a little bit of scouting. I'm gonna go ahead and get my overlord speed at the very least relatively early on into the game. There is a Reaper moving out here. That's to be expected. Gonna make 3 sets of Zerglings, so that does mean 6 Zerglings in total, and I'm actually gonna be spreading out my drones as well here just in case. I'm gonna actually move them over as well, just to get a little bit closer to the gas geyser so they are mining individual patches. And obviously I can use that to hopefully prevent them from dying here. It all comes down to the micro now. Gotta go back to droning. No particular reason to play too aggressive. Queue up the next queen as well. And I want to have a quick little peek to see whether or not my opponent actually ended up taking that natural. Now, yep, I was gonna say, I would be very surprised if he wasn't, or if he hadn't taken it just yet. But for the moment, we're in a pretty standard position. Trying to make sure that I have my queen on the high ground there. Gonna move the lings over there as well. And now is where we really start the droning up. So I've got my overlord already coming in, the overlord speed that is, as well as another overlord for that matter. And I'm gonna start making a lot of stuff. I'm gonna start making as many drones as I possibly can until I finish up my overlord speed. It's really important though that I keep up with the creep spread as well, because if I don't, I'm gonna very quickly fall behind in the amount of vision that I have. And in order to really, stay on top of the game, can't afford losing that. Oh, so close. Nearly lost that. That would have been bad. In order to really stay on top of that, I need to pay very close attention to the positioning of, all of my opponent's units, as well as just simply continuously spread the creep throughout this game. Now I'm flying in right now, trying to check the build he's going for. That's a starport. That is going to be a reactor. I know exactly what is going to come. My opponent is going to go for a 16 marine drop. Pretty standard build right now. I would say it's the most common macro build for Terran right now. They usually switch it to Marine Marauder, Medevac, Mine, or Siege Tanks a little bit later on into the game, but mines are probably a little more common. But the one thing to keep in mind is that I can easily counter this as long as I pay attention to where my opponent is going to be located. As long as I counter the Marines that are undoubtedly going to come across the map very shortly, we're going to be in a very good spot. Now the way I can do so is by starting to drone until right around 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and then afterwards I'm going to spend a bunch of time creating a whole lot of army. But until the 4 minutes and 30 second mark, I'm really trying to squeeze out as many workers here as I possibly can. I do have another queen incoming as well. Gonna go for the +1/+1 upgrades. Very helpful. And squeeze out. Okay, a couple more workers. But now I really need to make sure that I get my units going. Ideally, I spend my larva here first and foremost. Real important that I do spend that larva. Already got a nice little bit of eco here. Gonna send those drones over towards the newly acquired third base. And I do need to make sure that I get a spore crawler right there. And a spore crawler right about right here. Those are the 2 most common locations where my opponent will more than likely hit. And when the hit is going to be is probably at the 5 minute and 30 second mark. Obviously, it kind of depends on, you know, when he's moving out and what path he's taking with his Overlord or with his Marines and all that. But if I can delay him like this, I am definitely willing to sacrifice an Overlord for that. Because really, every second that goes by right now, I know that I've got a superior economy. Really important to try and keep that in mind. Now, still spraying that creep as well. Gotta go ahead and grab myself a lair here. Make sure that I've got all of the queens on the same hotkey as well. There we go, now I do. Trying to add on a couple more. Not entirely sure where he's going to be dropping just yet. I haven't spotted yet where that's going to be. Trying to hit a couple of injects here before the push will happen. He's actually being very late about it. He may have just given up on it after he realized that I've got the scout. Now he's still going to go at the very least and try and do something. We'll move the queens over towards the high ground. Should be fine, but I'm already going to start droning. Now, that decision to start droning here is kind of risky, but I know right now that he's got a third base taken, and he may very well just decide to not do any kind of aggression whatsoever. Now, I'm not sure. We did see a double medevac. Don't know exactly where the second one is currently located, but it looks like he's just decided that he's not going to, you know, go for any kind of pressure here whatsoever. He may be landing here, which is fine. I mean, he's just trying to be cheeky at this point. As long as I keep up the macro, all things considered. Actually, I'm going to wait with that for a little bit and prioritize the bailing speed. Something I've been trying out for a while. And so far, we've been absolutely on top of his place. Already had the units there waiting for him to, you know, land the medevac. And I can go ahead and start taking a fort base here already. Pretty greedy by me, but everything considered, since I've been able to, you know, counter his play quite effectively so far, I think that's probably going to be a good option. So, I gotta have to make sure that I get my creep threat going though, because he did kill a couple of the tumors. Do need to make sure I get those back. Gotta also start up the spire right now. Get him, queen! Ah, it's too late. That creep is gonna be gone already. All good. We'll get a couple of safety banes here. Not rushing out the what are they called? The mutas here by any stretch. Just trying to be safe. Safe and sound. We'll grab ourselves a macro hatchery here as well. And actually, I'm gonna move one of the queens over towards the main base to start dedicating itself for the creep spread there. Or towards the injecting right now. I'll use the rest of them for the creep spread. So this is where injects become infinitely more, you know, important. Because I really need to make sure I keep those going. Gotta morph in a couple of overseers. And I'll also start making sure that I got vision of my potential, or the opponent's potential next bases. Gonna start putting some creep on all of those. Just like that. And as you can see, very passive. Very, very safe. Not trying to take any unnecessary risks. That is kind of what this really comes down to. I could have maybe done a little bit more damage by moving out across the map aggressively, but I know that in a couple of minutes from now, my upgrades are going to really start taking control of this army. As long as I don't take, you know, any kind of crazy fights, I think we'll be okay. So here we go. Gonna start my round of mutas. Gonna start more and more Zerglings here. And with my newly acquired base just about to finish up, let me have a quick look at my natural here as well. I'm gonna go ahead and start over, or start mining over there as well. Okay, so this is the point where I can start considering to go up to a hive. Got mutas out on the map. Well, at the very least right about right now. He's scanning for my potential fort. Little does he know that I've already had it up here for quite a little while. Gonna hotkey this dude with it as well, and this may very well be a bit of a fight. Okay, trying to go for a medevac. Tried to go and basically just simply stop him from advancing on my creep. And just trying to play it very safe and sound. You can see that my opponent so far is definitely struggling with my speed when it comes to his army. Now, we gotta be real careful, because obviously Widow Mines can still easily wreck my day. Gotta keep an eye out on when he potentially is gonna be taking his new base as well, but I don't really want to be fighting up a ramp. It's too risky. So as a matter of fact, I'm gonna start dealing some damage here. There are Marines, so I don't wanna take any unnecessary risks. Those are difficult words. I wish I could just push up the ramp here. I think I've got plenty of stuff to hold him back here, but he still has a rather big army, so I don't really want to take any, you know, silly engagements. We'll move you two over here. Keep on spreading the creep, and we're actually already reaching his side of the map. So far, we've been in firm control of this game. I'm currently maxed out. The way I'm gonna attack this and the way I'm gonna approach this is that I'm slowly but surely tacking up towards the hive, and I'm getting my adrenal glands and chitinous plating and all the other things that we need. But really, how am I gonna approach this is I'm gonna not fight him up the ramp or whatever. I'm just simply gonna wait until he moves down the ramp. He's gonna have to take a fort base sooner or later, so I'll establish this this bank that I have right now, and actually, he's already moving. I was gonna say, like, big chance he's gonna start trying to grab a fort base here very shortly, and he actually is. At the very least, it seems like he is. I gotta be real careful though, because these Widow Mines can do so much damage. Now, I did take a whole bunch of damage there myself, but I'm gonna be able to reinforce all of the forces that I have here with trying to snipe down the medevacs here as well. I can reinforce here quite easily. Now, I'll snipe the medevac that I can. Once again, gonna head back. No reason to take unnecessary risks. We'll get +3/+3 instead, and we'll keep an eye out on when he's gonna be grabbing himself that newly acquired, or, you know, when he's gonna acquire himself a new fort base. Taking risks is kind of silly. There's no reason for it. If you take a risk, it's basically like saying, hey, these upgrades that I paid for a minute ago that are gonna finish up in a minute, I'm not actually using here for the time being, and I'm not really banking on the advantage and the win condition that I was going for. I think it's really important to always try and keep that win condition in mind. And sure, there's a big chance I could just walk up that ramp right now and just win, right? But there's also a chance that those Widow Mines will connect just right, and that there is going to be a very tough engagement for me to take. So you know what? I'm just gonna simply take it safe and play it very, very safe and sound, and not take any risks. I want to make sure that I get my opponent's, you know, fort base taken out of. So obviously I do see that being landed right now. I'm gonna move over there. But really, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not, you know, taking any terrible engagement. Oh my god, that was not the greatest of hits by me. Okay. Got Ultras coming in here. Got a lot of links coming in as well. And you can see, like, Terran armies are still really good. Actually, he managed to clean that army up. I'm gonna have to wait. So that may have even been a little bit too greedy by me. Now, in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and grab myself another expansion as well. And we'll start working on the rocks towards the fort, because there's going to be a planetary there soon enough. Gary the Spire is done, so I'm going to also start adding on that armor upgrade and a couple of corruptors here if I can. Chitinous plating, +3/+3 is about a minute or so from finishing. Nah, a little less than that. I need to be careful here. Gotta run some links around, take these rocks out as soon as I can. And this is where ZVT becomes interesting. And where I really need to start making sure that I get enough eco. So here's the plan. I want to distract him using the links here in the background. He knows of them right now. But I've got a very powerful army. Once 3-3 goes, and once it's finished, I'm gonna go push. I can attack this base real quickly, putting my Ultras here in the front, morphing in a whole bunch more Banes, and we'll finish up with more Zerglings. If I can prevent this base from really taking damage, that's perfect for me. Or if I can prevent that from mining, that would be huge for me. Now, I'm still scared to move up the ramp. I killed the fort base. Once again, we're in similar territory here as we were previously. We saw how quickly that army of the Terran could still kill us, right? And I don't really want to be taking that risk. If I move into his base, I'm basically saying like, hey, if you happen to have some solid Widow Mine hits, I just lose the game right here, right now. And my opponent seems to have found his way bullied out of this game. But I think what we can conclude here is that I played this utterly, utterly safe. Not taking any risks, not taking any unnecessary rewards either. And the main reason why I'm doing so is because I'm a little scared of the amount of stuff that Terran can oftentimes throw at. Now, it also partly has to do with the layout of this map. I will let you know that it's not always the correct choice. On many other maps, you can go for run-bys and, you know, counter-attacks and all those kinds of things, but in this map in particular, Galactic Process, there's rocks leading into the third, there's rocks leading into the other base right here, there's also rocks headed from this direction, and there's a ramp leading to each and every one of those locations. So what that means is that he's always going to have the high ground advantage. He always knows that it's going to be coming, and it takes a couple of seconds before my units are going to be able to break down, you know, any kind of walls and whatnot that he has created. So on this particular map, I liked playing it extremely safe and simply not take any risks whatsoever. Wait for them to take a fourth base. When they take a third, I'll take a fourth and a fifth myself, or at the very least another hatchery. And make sure that I keep up in macro, because eventually they're gonna be forced to move out. And if I can spread my creep like I did in this particular match, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe so you get a notification as soon as I upload the next video. While you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Links are down below in the description. And other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!